All right. Okay, take a look at your notes. Let's just run through the two general shapes. So remember, both graphs, sine and cosine, go up how far? It was the weekend. Remember how high they go? One. They go down to -1. Okay, and then remember that your sine graph is going to go middle, high, middle, low, middle. And then connect your shape. Now, keep in mind that we're only graphing one full period, but remember, they do go on in both directions. Okay, so I'll do the rest of my graph just in red, that we know that it's going to keep going like this, okay, on both ends, but we really just care about one full period. How many degrees does it take to make it through one full period? You remember? It's all the way around the circle one time. 360. So it says the period is 360 degrees, which is the same as how many radians? 2 pi radians. So on your circle, instead of this being 0 to 360, this is going to be 0 to pi. Sorry, 2 pi. Which means that halfway through that, you would be at 1 pi. Okay, and then we're not going to break it down too much, but this would be half of a pi, or pi over 2. And then this would be 3 pi over 2, which would be the same as 1 full pi plus an extra half. Okay. Remember, cosine is the exact same shape. You just start in a different position on the wave. So you're still going to go up and down to positive and -1, but you're going to start at the top. And then you're going to hit middle, low, middle, high. And then draw your wave. Okay, and it would still take a full 2 pi to make it all the way through. Okay, then if you want to kind of sketch the rest of the wave, we know that it kind of does the same thing. Okay, but it doesn't have to be perfect. We're focusing on one full period. Okay, right here it says, when you change from degrees to radians, okay, as we've observed, the shape of the graph stays the same. Your domain, because your graph goes on and on forever, is still all real numbers, and your range is still -1 to 1. Oliver, can you grab your notes? All right, so now let's do a little practicing on our graph. Sure. Okay, ready? All right. So I have x plus pi. Which way does a plus pi shift my graph? Think about what we covered last class. If it's a plus, I really go to the left. So this is going to be to the left pi, which means I'm going to start my graph at -pi. Okay, then I observe I have a +3 in the back. Which way does a +3 move my graph? Up 3. So you're going to go up 1, 2, 3. And then remember, we're going to call that our midline. Okay, that's our midline. Then remember that my graph goes up and down 1 from what that midline is. So if my midline is 3 here, so much that I forgot. I'm going to go up and down 1 from 3. So if I go up 1, what's the top going to be? 3 plus 1 is 4. And then the bottom is going to be 3 minus 1, which is how low? 2. Okay, then from there, oh, this doesn't say sine or cosine. Let's say this is a cosine graph. Where does the cosine wave start? Look at your parent functions. Does it start at the center or the top? Cosine starts at the top. Look at your cosine graph here. Remember, you want to start at the top of the wave. So I'm going to start here at 4. Then I'm going to hit down, down, up, up. Okay, and there's your wave. Okay, then remember, it does keep going and going. Okay, but we just care about one full period. Now, remember, it takes me 2 pi to get through one full rotation. So if I started at negative pi, I would go forward 2 pi, and that would put me at 1 pi. Okay, now think about if that makes sense, that if I started negative 1 and I add 2, I would finish at positive 1. So the amount of space in between it for the period is still 2 pi, but I'm stopping early at 1 pi because I started early at negative 1 pi. Does that make sense? Okay. Domain would be what? All real numbers. Because even though we graph one period, we know it goes on forever. Okay, and then my range would be what? 2 to 4. Very good. With my midline at 3, which is dead center on that. Okay. Now for this graph, we did not have a horizontal stretch or compression. So my period was still 2 pi. And then for my vertical, we didn't have one, so my amplitude was still. All right, when you're ready, go ahead and turn the page.
What's that?
The steps would be what I would say, don't worry about it if it's a pi. All right, take a look at the next one. Okay, I have a minus 2 pi. Which way are we going, left or right? I know, we'll have to add it. Okay, to the right, 2 pi, so we're going to start at 2 pi. Because remember, if they put a minus, I really go to the right. Okay, then for my plus 5, I'm going to go up 5. Okay, from there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's my midline. And then on this one, since it doesn't have a stretch or compression, let's just add one. Okay, so let's put a 3 here. So now, okay, my vertical stretch is going to be 3. And then you're going to go up and down 3 from that midline. Okay. So if I go up 3, this is 5. What would I be at? And if I go down 3 from 5, 1, 2, 3, 2. Okay, then let's say for this one, we just did a cosine, so let's make this one a sine. Where does your sine wave start? Top or middle? Middle. So sine will start at 5, go up to 8, back to 5, down to 2, back to 5. And you know you've done one full wave when you sort of finish off at the same point that you started at. So for a cosine, I'll rotate it. For a cosine, it starts at the top, then you got to end at the top. For a sine, you start at the middle, then you got to end at the middle. Okay, for that one, we did not have a stretch or compression, so our period is still 2 pi. But now think about if I already started at 2 pi and I go 2 more pi's, where am I going to stop at?
I don't think I did that.
Okay, 4 pi. Very good. Okay, and then for the pi's, I'm not going to make you break it down and add like half pi each time. You could, but if this is 2 pi and this is 4 pi, dead center would be 3 pi. Okay, but I'm not going to get super specific on that because it's harder to read. Okay. All right, let's do the next one. Okay, let's make this one a sine again since it doesn't say. I have a plus 2 pi. Which way are we going? To the left. So we're going to the left. 2 pi makes this a minus 2 pi. Are we going up or down? Down how many? Down 1. So that'd be a negative 1 right here. That's my center line. Okay, then I don't have a vertical stretch or compression. I don't have a number in the front. So what's my amplitude? 1. So if I go up one, that would put me at 0. Down one would put me at negative. This is a sine graph, so where does it start? Middle. So I'm gonna hit at -1, 0, -1, -2, -1. Okay, just like that. Okay, now this one has a horizontal stretch or compression. Which number controls the horizontal stretch or compression? 1/4, very good. So put right here. Okay, my 1/4 means that my new period is gonna be 2 pi. They're telling me to divide it by 4. What am I really gonna do? Do you remember? You do the reverse. Multiply by 4, very good. Okay, so remember, because that 1/4 is in parentheses, that's telling me to divide by 4. The parentheses tell me to do the opposite. So 2 pi multiplied by 4 means what's my full period? 8 pi. And if I started at -2 pi and I added 8 pi, where would this wave end? 6 pi. Very good. Okay. Because from here to here, it should take a full 8 pi to like cycle through that basically. Okay. Vertical stretch or compression, this one didn't have one. So my amplitude is still 1. Okay, then again, you should be able to do domain and range, but it's pretty similar. All right, go ahead and turn the page. All right, let's do the next one. Okay, which way are we shifting? Left or right? Left, how many? Pi over 4, right? So I would start at -pi over 4. Are we going up or down? Okay, I thought we talked about this last time, but maybe we didn't. A +3 in the front and a +3 in the back do the same thing. So now that it's a +3 in the back, which we know is the same, we're going up 3. Very good. Okay, so we'll go 1, 2, 3. There's my midline. Okay, how high am I going to go up or down from my midline? What's my amplitude? It would be this. Go ahead.
Why would you put a 7 instead of a 3? I'm just confused on why you're choosing the 3 rather than the 7.
That's a great question. So the number that's directly attached to the sine or the cosine affects the height of the wave. And then the number that's added or subtracted, whether it's at the front or the back, that controls the midline. Does that make sense? So the 7 being on the sine controls how tall the wave goes. Okay, and this number controls where your midline's at. So now think about if I'm already at 3 and I go up 7, what's going to be the highest point on this wave? It would be very good. And then if I start at 3 and I go down 7, what would the low point on my wave be? -4. Okay, and if you're not sure how we're getting those numbers, you would just in your calculator, hopefully you picked one up, do 3 plus 7 to get the top, and then 3 minus 7 to get the -4 on bottom. Okay, then this is the sine graph, so it starts at the center. So put your first thought at 3. Then you're going to go up to 10, down to 3, down to -4, back to 3. Okay, does this one have a stretch or compression? A horizontal stretch or compression? Yes, what number does that job? The 2 between the parentheses. They're telling me to times by 2, then what should I really be doing? Divide by 2. So my new period is going to be 2 pi divided by 2. And 2 pi divided by 2 is how much? 1 pi. Very good. Okay.
Right,
But-
what question are we on?
Number 4. We just finished it.
Oh, come on.
Okay, then I didn't fill in the bottom of this, but was it a stretch or a compression vertically? stretch with an amplitude of 7. Domain is all real numbers, and my range is -4 to 10. Yes?
For the horizontal triple compression, times 2 that we divided it instead of the compression.
It would be. Thank you for asking that. So remember, what we talked about last time is that if your period gets longer, that's a horizontal stretch. If it gets shorter, that would be considered a compression. So to go from 2 pi to 1 pi, that's a compression. Now let's go back one question where it went from 2 pi to 8 pi. That would be a stretch. And I was kind of lazy and I didn't circle. Okay, but remember, if your period's getting longer, that's a stretch. Shorter would be a compression. Okay, let's go ahead and do one more. Go ahead and turn the page. Okay, we'll make this one a sign if you'll just kind of squeeze it in there. Okay, which way are we shifting for number 5? If it's a x minus 1. To the right one. So I'm going to start my graph at 1. Okay, there is no plus or minus, so that means that I do not have a vertical shift, which means my wave is going to stay centered at a midline of 0. Okay, I also don't have a number in the front for a vertical stretch or compression, so my amplitude is going to stay 1. So if I stay at 0, I'm going to go up 1 and down 1. Normally, the sine graph starts at the center and goes uphill. Which way will it go this time? Because of what? The negative in the front. So you're still going to start at the center, but you're going to go down, up, down. Okay. And then I'm going to put a little note here. Sine graph upside down. Because negative in front. So remember, for all the graphs, whatever the shape is, if you put a negative in front of it, it just flips it upside down. All right, now let's do the period. You have what number in the change the period spot? In the equation, what number is that? Pi over 3. Okay, very good. So if you have a fraction in that spot, you should remember from last time that to reverse the effects of the fraction, you would flip it. So my new period, I'm going to still start with 2 pi, but if they put a pi thirds here, I'm going to times by 3 over pi. Because remember, to reverse the effect of the fraction, if it's a times pi divided by 3, the reverse would be to times 3 divided by pi. Okay, then what do you notice is going to happen to the pi on top and on bottom? Cancel out. What's my full period now? 6. So question, if I started at 1 and it's going to take me 6 more to get all the way through, what is this stop point going to be? So if I start at 1 and it's going to take me 6 units to get through 1 full period, then that means that I would stop at 7. Because I'm starting 1 later, then I would end 1 later than 6, which would be 7. Okay, domain and range you should be able to do. How do we feel about this? Good. We only have 1 more left, so hopefully you're getting that. Okay, last one. 6 minus 5 cosine pi over 5x minus 2. Which way are we shifting? Left or right? Right 2. So start your x-axis at positive 2. Vertical shift. What number does that? The 6. And I'm going to push my plus 6 all the way to the back. Okay, just because that's kind of like its usual spot. So I'm going to go up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's my midline. Okay, then from there, I'm going to go up and down. How many for my amplitude? What number's in the amplitude spot? The 5. Very good. So circle stretch. My amplitude is 5. If I start at 6 and I add 5, what's my top gonna be?
9 or 11.
11, good. And if I do 6 minus 5, what's my bottom gonna be? 1, very good. Okay, then from there, cosine usually starts at the top. Is that where this one will start? Not with the negative. It's gonna start at the bottom. Then it'll go up, up, down, down. And then connect your dots. Okay, then I'm gonna put that same little note we put last time. Cosine graph is flipped because negative in front. Now, someone in the other class had said, why isn't my amplitude -5? Amplitude's never negative. It's just how tall the wave is. So it doesn't matter if you go up the 5 first or down the 5 first, your amplitude's always a constant. Okay. All right, now let's do the period. So my normal period for a sine or cosine is 2 pi. But if there's a number between the parentheses, I have to change it. They put a pi over 5 in that position. How do I do the reverse effect of a pi over 5? 5 over pi. And then what's going to happen to your pi's? Cross out, right? Which means 2 times 5 means my period is 10. So question, if my graph starts at 2 and I'm going to go forward 10 more to get through the cycle, what's my stop point going to be? 2 plus 10 for the full cycle would be 12. Okay. You get the idea? All right. So the way this unit is going to work is that rather than you having delta maths on it, we're just going to work through the test review as the homework. Just because last week was so weird and whatever. So I'm going to give you the review, but you can't do all of it right now.
Wait, why was last week weird?
Remember, I didn't, you had like short days on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Wait, all they already did is this one? Oh, no, I'd rather not. Oh, no.
It'll be-
I don't think it might just go. Okay, let me in one. No. Unfortunately, they thought that.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, we're coworkers. Who knew?
No, I had to sit in the offices of HR at the IT building for like an hour.
Wow. Yeah. Huh? Oh, here you go. Okay.
You realize the
Okay.
paper report is the same as.
All right, let's run through a couple of these just to make sure you have the right idea, and then I'll tell you which ones not to do. Do you need one? Oh, you're taking the test. Okay. All right, so these two right here, can you just sketch your graphs for sine and cosine? Okay, you're just sketching 2 little waves. Where does the sine one have to start? Middle. So your sine graph should go here, 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 here. Okay, then it says it's in degrees. So how many degrees should it end at? 360. Okay, versus for the next one, we're going to do it in radians. That one will end at what? 2 pi. Very good. You're not using your calculator, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Okay, cosine starts at the top, middle, low, middle, high. And you're going to go like that.
Wait, how do we get?
360 is just how long it takes to get through a whole one. And then it's 2 pi. Okay, remember the high point on both of these is 1. The low point is -1. Okay, and then as we've done in the notes, you should be able to put domain and range and that kind of stuff. Okay. All right, here are the ones that you can do. You should be able to do 5 through 8 on this page. So if you want to circle those. Now, because it's been a minute since we did these in degrees, I'd like to run through number 7 with you just to kind of make sure you remember how to do it. So which number, these are kind of scrambled in order, which number controls the amplitude?
Oh, I didn't realize they were on,
Uh-huh. Okay, it is the 4. So put for your amplitude, it's gonna be 4. Okay, which number controls the period? Yeah, the little squishy 4, right? Now, it's squished between the parentheses. They say times by 4. What do we really do? Divide by 4. What do we divide by 4? What's the original period? 360. So 360 divided by 4 means that my new period is going to be what? 90. Very good. Okay. All right, then it says vertical shift. What number controls shifting the midline up or down? Is there one? No. Okay, if you want, just put a +0 with it. Okay, this one, you're not going to shift it up or down because there's not a number added. Remember, it could be at the end or it could be at the front. Okay, your phase shift is side to side, okay, or horizontal shift. So if it's a -60, which way are we going? To the right 60. And then for my max value, I want you to think about if your graph is centered at 0 and you're going to go up 4, what's your highest point going to be? Okay, versus let's say that you were starting at 10 and going up 4, well then your high point would be 14. Does that make sense? All right. Okay, then go ahead and turn the page. You have 3, skip number 9. Put a little skip on that. Okay, we'll do those next time. So skip number 9. Okay, and then for the next ones, for 10, you can do 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay?
Right.
All of the graphs you should be able to do. So I'm going to put the numbers here on my review. It's 5, 6, 7, 8. And then you're skipping number 9, and then 10 through 14. Okay. And then please don't lose your review because you don't want to have to redo all this. Okay, so that's kind of your goal for today, but this is not due next class because we're going to do basically the rest of the questions now. Okay, so that's your goal for today. Okay, can you raise your hand if you're needing to take your test today? 1, 2, 3, 4. Need to separate.
Bro, what happened?
I know, I don't know. I'm in an S.
I like it. I like it.
You do like it? Now I'm close.
Because
to
I'm
you.
not cramped
Now
up
I
against
can
the
see
table.
more, you know? Okay, can I put you in the hallway?
Well, come on, that's-
They're taking a test, yeah, that makes sense. You've already taken it. It's the unit circle one.
What is? It is something like questions that makes you want to commit God.
Okay, that is very dramatic.
If it's not that, but what exactly is the test? Like what defines a test? Oh my goodness, there's something called Google, but yeah, I'll do you a favor.
Everything on it. There should be a Rolly basket on it. And then you can bubble it.
A place where you or at? Oh, but you know.
And then there's a desk.
Our office where you bring it.
There's one more Rolly basket in the hallway that I'll put you in. Yeah, I have one filled up. Perfect. Thank you. I'll bring you a second file. Will you just sit in that desk out there? Yeah. You need the test? Can you? Sorry. Chris, please put your stuff on that desk. And then we're just gonna pull this one apart.
My bad, I haven't looked at them yet. So I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
do
What is
Do
the
you have
definition of a definition?
Okay, I should have extra.
What about the arm?
Oh, you can get one.
Wait,
Okay,
How
Raul,
about
next
if
thing
we
here,
use
please.
anywhere?
definition, meaning of a company.
Okay.
A definition.
I
I just realized.
you
I
were
just had this in my head.
like, take that, take the mark.
How old are they?
Is he gonna be going
I
there?
know, I had to say. Oh, now that you know like how big it's up, I forgot to.
That's fine, don't heat them up in the bag though, you'll get cancer.
What?
You guys know, no heating in plastic, okay?
What, we do that. Sounds good to me. Alright, so what do I heat them up? Because I don't have, you have like a paper plate or something I can put them on? Oh, it's not like, like you just eat the plastic bag.
I do have some paper towels to the side of it, if you just, it won't like do anything weird, right?
It's not gonna stick to, I mean, these are sticky.
Here, open it, pull it to the side, see those little half paper towels? Just put it on one of those, not all three, but
I
just
mean,
pick
we are talking about a bunch of barbecue buns from a very good Chinese restaurant that can get very sticky.
Do they have a little butter on there?
I don't know, but there's barbecue.
They already got a screenshot, but I need to go back in.
Just when you're done, you'll.
Down there.
Yes. And then can you put this back at your desk, please?
His face is semi-covered, but you probably already got it. It's hard to decide, like, what do you think? What do you think, how much is it?
Raul, though, if you have a pen, you can bubble it into one. Do you have a pen? Okay.
So we have to do like, move the way you can take it. The first. And then we finally got it out. Right now,
There you go.
what even paper.
Wait, didn't you have your circle that?
Wait, actually, no, so
the
for paper,
pages like written on it,
like online, you would,
but like X out, like that.
online paperwork. Where,
I
like,
think y'all
that's
have
for
it.
criminal records and
I just
stuff.
only have like.
Online.
That's what we make it up for paperwork. It's the most of it great. Well,
That's
like,
what you first showed to do.
well, like, there's like.
Then more paperwork.
I'm passing one.
No, it's really, it's, they don't change it for, like, let's say what she, people said she has, it's the same thing with the titles, a lot. Except for when. I think I figured that out anyway, you know, they didn't give me that, like, I think.
No.
Wait, I guys, that's what they yell, I just figured out how to weaponize. You sounded like you were my other one. No, but I figured out how to weaponize it. Like this. Like, let's say you're just being against it. No. You put the hammer backwards, grab the head, make it back. No, you just snap there. No. You don't put it- Oh my God, that would be dramatic like John Wick. Oh my goodness, that reminded me of that charity.
Everyone that needs to be testing is testing. Yes.
Snap there. But then I think.
Plus them there. You wanna go low, so you do 5 months. So if it's a times 2, you would really divide.
I'm sort of like cool down and find out there. Oh my God, I hate
This
this.
would make your
No,
total.
it's barbecue inside.
But basically, whatever this number is, you're.
Are you microwaving the barbecue?
So if it's like times 2, you'll divide now. If it was a 1/2, that would mean divide by 2, and you would mean times by 2. Okay.
Oh, wow. But we're gonna step it back and hit it in. That's where you go. Nope. Okay, let's stop.
So if you're in a degree.
But I like how to configure all the other ones.
If you're in the radian,
Because they walk away from us. One of them is the light.
You just have to kind of check out. Okay? Yes, sir.
Oh, wait.
Yes. Sure.
Now, the second sub, the topic you have to get an insider account, like it's super fucking hard. And then. Why is it hard to do? You have to get